touching down to refuel in New England, and we're live at the hospital where she's now headed.
And people putting their lives on the line to rescue these drivers trapped in raging floods.
Hazy sunshine, warm and humid on this Tuesday morning. We'll take a look at the forecast ahead.
All right, all that and a lot more.
It's coming up next at 9.
A teen charged in a chain reaction crash that lands in a home in Saugus. We're live with the latest.
Developing at this hour, this is a live look in Tewksbury. You see those protesters? They're starting to gather for a major rally today. It's all part of the market basket feud.
Second American infected with the Ebola virus now in the U.S. More on the experimental treatment that could save her life and the lives of many others.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
Tuesday morning, 5th day of August, and welcome everybody. I'm Krista Delkamp.
And I'm Chris Anderson. We have a lot of news stories to get to, and we'll be there in just a moment. First, luckily that haze has burned off, at least for the most part.
Yeah, it still's a bit humid out there, but Chris, very nice to see the sun after this rainy weekend.
We'll keep the humidity. Yeah, exactly right, Krista. It was a cool weekend overall. We want that summertime warmth back with us. 70s across the board right now. Still dealing with some dense fog down through the islands. And look at the dew point levels, mid-60s to near 70 degrees. Once you approach that 70-degree mark, that's some high humidity in place. We'll be there the next couple of days. Now, for a lot of us, just some hazy sunshine this morning, although you get across the Cape, some more mid to high level clouds, and then you get across the islands right now, still dealing with locally dense fog. And we've seen that beginning to improve just so slightly here the last half an hour to an hour down across the islands. But visibility great, city of Boston out through Metro West. As we go through the day, hazy sunshine continues late morning, close to 80 degrees, mid to even some upper 80s away from the coastline this afternoon. At the coastline, the sea breeze kicking in. Can't rule out a late day thunderstorm passing on by, but much of the time is dry, guys.
Breaking news this morning out of Afghanistan. An American soldier is killed, at least a dozen more injured after an attack on a base there. It all happened at a base just west of Kabul. Here's a map to show you where we're talking about. A man in an Afghan army uniform apparently opened fire on international troops. The shooter was then killed. U.S. and Afghan military officials are calling it an insider attack.
And now to breaking news out of Saugus, where a teen driving a car full of young people is facing charges this morning. Police say he is to blame for a chain reaction crash that damaged 2 cars and also a home in Saugus. So let's get right to 7's Nicole Oliverio with the breaking details for us. Nicole?
That's right, Krista, and the homeowners just came back. They're trying to figure out when and if they can get back into their home. Right now, the gas and electricity is shut off, and you can see what's boarded up. Behind those boards was the family's dining room, and the husband was sitting in that room just minutes before the car came through. A teen driver runs a stop sign, slams into 2 parked cars, that smashes into Debbie and Ken Marshall's Saugus home.
He just plowed, took out 2 vehicles.
The accident happened overnight. Ken had just been sitting in the dining room minutes before the car came crashing through there.
He got up and he said, I'm going to brush my teeth. I said, okay. And then I said, he come out and he said, I'm going downstairs to put a load of my mother's in a nursing home to put my mother's clothes in. I said, I'm going to brush my teeth. He was downstairs. Crash, 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 crash. I seen smoke and I thought the house was on fire.
Police say the 18-year-old driver was drunk. There were 4 other teens in the car. 3 had to be taken to the hospital.
They were trying to run, and my husband was running them down. They were trying to run. Some of the kids. One of them was saying, help me, help me, help me, get me out of here. He was stuck.
Firefighters told the couple the driver was going between 80 to 100 miles per hour. The force lifted an F-150 nearly a foot off the ground and lodged it into the home. Debbie just thankful her husband left the room when he did.
That's all we can say is God had to be sitting on his shoulders. That's all you can say. God was sitting on his shoulders.
The Marshalls tell us they've actually lived in this home now for more than 30 years, and over the past decade, this is actually the 4th time a car has smashed into their house, but never with damage this badly. As for that 18-year-old driver, he will be summoned to court at a later date. He's going to be charged with negligent operation and OUI. That's latest live in Saugus. Nicole Oliverio, 7 News Today in New England.
All right, Nicole, also developing this morning, let's take a look at Tewksbury. Live pictures now where market basket protesters will be holding a rally in just a couple of hours in front of the store. And some are estimating this will be the largest crowd yet. It could top 10,000. It also comes a day after the company held its first job fair in a move to potentially replace those workers.
7's Victoria Warren is live outside of that Tewksbury store with more. It seems like the crowd is growing by the moment, Vicki.
Yeah, the crowd is growing by the moment, Chris, and this rally isn't even scheduled to start until 11 this morning. Today's rally, I'm being told, is all about the customer. If you take a live look behind me, a lot of customers are already out here. They are expecting to see a crowd of 12,000 to 15,000 people. Meanwhile, today is day 2 of a job fair. The company says some people have said they're afraid to cross picket lines, so they're allowing them to apply by email.
Was it really worth your dignity?
Cars leaving a Market Basket job fair heckled and booed by dozens of protesters as security guards hired by the company recorded the picketing employees.
Well, I think it was a colossal failure if they were trying to replace people. And as far as us, it's a win.
The grocery store holding a 3-day job fair to replace certain management and main office positions after dozens of workers walked off the job. Thousands of other employees are lending their voices to the fight. The first day of the job fair was specifically for current employees who were encouraged to apply for promotions to replace their protesting bosses. Market Basket execs even offered an email application saying associates interested in opportunity should be given an opportunity without fear of intimidation and harassment.
We're a bunch of pussycats. We might be loud, but you know, we just want to make sure that our voices are heard and our opinions count.
Protesters are planning their biggest rally yet, while the company controller, who also walked off the job, says he heard rumors that Market Basket might have trouble making payroll.
Right now it's a large amount of cash going out and nothing coming in, so they can't sustain that for a long time.
Taking a live look out here at this crowd, which is growing by the minute. At the last rally, they bussed employees in from all across the state, even from New Hampshire. They're expecting that to happen again today. This crowd could swell, they're saying, to 12 to 15,000 people. By way of comparison, the last rally they had a little bit more than 6,000 people. Live in Tewksbury, Victoria Warren, 7 News, Today, New England.
Investigators believe drugs are involved in the deaths of 3 men in Worcester. The men all found inside an apartment building in the Washington Heights community on Monday. Police say that a maintenance worker is the one who found the bodies.
Also developing this morning, the plane that is carrying the second American missionary infected with the Ebola virus has touched down in Maine to refuel. It will then continue its trip on to Atlanta, where this patient will then be transported to the hospital. NBC's Jay Gray is actually live outside of that very facility where officials are waiting for her. Jay, good morning to you.
Hey there, good morning to you, Chris. Expected to land here sometime around noon. To update just a bit, within just the last few minutes, we understand that specially equipped medical jet has left Bangor, Maine, and is back in the air and on the way here to Atlanta. Back in the U.S., but doctors here stress still a long journey left before she gets to a full recovery.
Nancy Wright-Bowl began the long journey home overnight, flying from Liberia in this medevac jet equipped with an isolation pod. Her son Jeremy is anxious to get his mom back on American soil and knows exactly what he will say to her when he finally gets the chance.
I love you, and then I'm gonna encourage her. Just that we know that God is good and we trust Him.
Wright-Bowl's expected to land at Dobbins Air Reserve Base in Atlanta around noon and will immediately be transferred to this isolation unit at Emory Hospital that she'll share with her colleague, Dr. Kent Brantley, the first 2 Ebola patients ever treated in the United States. They contracted the deadly virus while working as medical missionaries in Africa, and doctors say both have shown improvement in the last couple of days after receiving a second dose of the experimental drug Z-MAP, manufactured at this California pharmaceutical company, but until now, never used on humans.
What it is a cocktail of antibodies, which are proteins that the body makes to block the virus.
The head of Wright-Bowl's missionary group says it may also be another aspect of their mission.
If they had to suffer through this in order to see tens of thousands and maybe more lives saved, they would say, I'm willing to go through what I've gone through.
But the focus at Emory Hospital right now is on 2 people, Dr. Kent Brantley and Nancy Wright-Bowl, and their struggle to survive. Now, there have been Ebola patients who have recovered in just a matter of days. Obviously, that's not the case with Brantley and Ripo. In fact, doctors here saying that the treatment and recovery could take several weeks. That's the latest live here in Atlanta. I'm Jay Gray, 7 News Today in New England.
Thank you. And also new this morning.
Look out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Frightening is that. Look at the scene here near Las Vegas, and what you're looking at is what was once a roadway, and you see these cars just floating down the side. It's like a torrential downpour there. Good Samaritans putting their lives on the line to save people who were trapped in what turned out to be a dangerous day in the desert.
Get out, man. They're going to get swept away.
30 miles outside of Las Vegas.
Get those people out. Get out!
And just 30 seconds to save lives.
Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
A rescue caught on camera showing a wall of water overtaking an elderly couple trapped inside a car.
Oh my God, the car is driving! Get out!
An airman steps in to save lives.
Hurry!
First, he manages to pull the man and his wife from the flood, and then crosses in front of the car, nearly getting swept away himself. Weary, he lands on the shoulder of the highway, which looks more like a riverbank.
A warning from the National Weather Service will follow shortly.
Warnings posted all day Monday afternoon, and this is why.
We've got one car that's flipped over.
Cars were trapped, one upside down in mud and water.
Could he even get his doors open, I wonder?
Yeah, they busted out the back.
The people inside the upside down car got out with just seconds to spare.
Looks like we're going to be here for a little while.
Troopers shut down the highway in both directions, stranding drivers for hours.
Who are you texting?
Oh, my boss. Tell him I can't get to work.
You're stuck.
Stuck.
And kids were among those stranded as well, including little Elisha with his parents on their way to Oregon.
You're stranded.
Yeah. Packed everything we own into our car, getting ready to move, and now we got stuck here.
And this family stuck as well.
We're pretty fortunate, I guess, that we weren't mixed up in that, you know. I guess it's better to be stuck here than to be out in it.
That is simply terrifying to watch there. By the way, today, thank goodness, this weather is much drier and warmer, and it will start allowing crews to begin cleaning up all that damage.
Some news from overseas now this morning. Another ceasefire in the Mideast beginning overnight. The truce would halt the fighting that's been happening between Israel and Hamas for the past 3 days. Representatives from Israel and Hamas are also set to meet in Egypt as they try and work out a longer ceasefire. Just last week, a similar ceasefire crumbled after just 90 minutes. Nearly 1,900 Palestinians and 67 Israelis have died in the month-long war. Meanwhile, police in Jerusalem are investigating a deadly terrorist attack. A Palestinian man used a piece of construction equipment to flip over this bus, killing the Israeli driver. No passengers were on board, but the man was then shot and killed by police officers. Meantime, New England Patriots owner Bob Kraft is reaching out to the family of the U.S.-born Israeli soldier who was killed recently in the fighting. Max Steinberg was the American volunteer in the Israeli Defense Forces. Kraft sent a letter to Steinberg's parents after seeing a picture of the 24-year-old. That was him with the New England Patriots hat on. It read in part, "He represents the consummate patriot, and I am forever grateful for the sacrifices he made to keep our beloved Israel safe. His dedication and loyalty to Israel have not gone unnoticed." Kraft is Jewish and has focused some of his philanthropy in Israel.
All right, still ahead, we're following new developments in a gruesome discovery in Duxbury.
One man is arrested in connection with those human remains found in a box, but we'll tell you why his lawyer says this is all a big mistake.
Also caught on camera, a very close call on the water.
A warm and humid pattern settling in, at least for today. Now, we do have a couple of chances of some storms the next few afternoons, but overall, the 7-day forecast looks good.
This is a story you don't want to miss. A pop star, you know who she is, serenading a local patient at a children's hospital.
Time Time now for Fast Track Traffic.
There is a 10-mile backup at 495 southbound right now, starting in North Andover all the way down to Route 38 in Tewksbury, possibly caused by the Market Basket Rally today. And we're looking live at the Turnpike. What a mess this is. The bumper-to-bumper stuff starts in downtown Boston and goes all the way back to Framingham. Very slow traffic, almost all the way into Boston. And the expressway in downtown not doing a heck of a lot better. Rich Kirkland, 7 News, today in New England.
Now, 7 weather with meteorologist Chris Lambert.
78 degrees in Boston right now, 77 in Norwood, 70 the Vineyard in Nantucket. Stuck in the fog down there for now. We will see some thinner spots through that overcast and that fog late morning into the early afternoon for the Cape and the Islands. Dew point level 67 degrees, so the high humidity back with us, and the frizz factor is a factor the next couple of days. We'll put it out there at a 4 on the frizzy side of things, but by Thursday and Friday we lower it down as we lower that humidity, and really a nice air mass settling in as we end the week and head into the weekend. Right now, not much going on here across southern New England, although we do have the bands of some mid to high level clouds working in across the Cape and the Islands, as well as some of the fog that's been outside so far this morning. The chance of rain overall going through the next few days, not really high. Late this afternoon and early this evening, there'll be a few isolated showers and storms that form. Slightly higher chance on Wednesday, and then on Thursday and Friday, again, about 20 or 30% of us picking up on a spot shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon. Tropical storm Bertha right here continues its motion off to the north-northeast. It has weakened since yesterday. Winds now down to 65 miles an hour, and that's why it went from hurricane status back to a tropical storm. Motion will continue to be the same here in terms of moving out to sea, so it passes several hundred miles to the south and east of New England. And other than some rough surf and some rip currents, we don't really have to worry about that in terms of any wind or rain. 82 to 88 this afternoon. Again, that isolated late day shower or thunderstorm, warm and muggy. Temperatures at the coastline will cool down once the sea breeze kicks in, so we'll go from near 80 degrees back into the mid 70s there. Low tide coming up early this afternoon just before 1 o'clock. So all in all, we do have plenty of sand space out there early this afternoon. 61 to 67 overnight tonight, and the forecast for tomorrow, sunshine and clouds mixed together. And we do have a few scattered showers and storms to go through, most of them in the afternoon, and slightly cooler tomorrow afternoon compared to what we see this afternoon. Just more clouds around earlier in the day with the cool fronts really coming through and being stuck across southern New England on Wednesday. And look at that weather, guys, as we go to the end of the week into the weekend. I think that's payback for the weekend we just had, right?
I'll say. And talking about the beach, Chris, here's a close call caught on camera on a beach in the Bahamas. And watch closely here, because you see this woman on a watercraft. She leaves just in the nick of time because it collides with another couple on board a watercraft there, and they go airborne. Look at that. So one of the two was thrown immediately. Other people rushed to help out. Remarkably, no one was seriously injured, which is simply amazing when you look at that.
It's wild. Those things are tough to control, and you lose control just like that.
And they were so close to shore, too, which is kind of odd, I thought.
Still ahead, it's a surprising crime.
This man getting up out of a wheelchair and runs away with some pricey merchandise from a New England jewelry store.
The concert goers get some pictures with one of the first daughters.
Pop star's surprise visit to a Boston hospital, and how it hit all the right notes with one little patient. Aww. Getting back together. Perfect. They are just jamming out there, singing along. A tailor-made performance for a little boy who really does need something to smile about these days. His name is Jordan Nickerson. He's battling a number of health problems at Boston's Children's Hospital.
Doesn't it just melt your heart?
It is. It's wonderful.
He had a swift visit from Spider-Man and Batman, but it was that other swift visit that really made him smile. 6-year-old Jordan Nickerson received quite a surprise Sunday when Taylor Swift visited him at Boston Children's Hospital.
I didn't know you'd come.
You didn't know?
Yeah.
We wanted to surprise you.
You did?
Yeah.
When Jordan was just 9 months old, he was diagnosed with Williams syndrome, a rare genetic disorder. At 18 months old, he underwent open heart surgery. And in July, Jordan was diagnosed with leukemia. But his medical history was all but forgotten when Swift walked into his room. And when asked which song he wanted to hear,
Your favorite song.
Your favorite song.
she decided to sing her hit, We Are Never Getting Back Together. Jordan didn't wait long before joining in on the song. Swift finished her visit by playing air hockey with Jordan. It was a day this little boy will likely never, ever forget.
And a story we soon won't forget. You can learn so much more about Jordan by visiting his Facebook page. It's called Jordan's Brave page, very appropriately titled.
Yeah, you know, it's so fun to see him light up the moment she, like, you know, plays that first chord.
Yeah.
He's like, the moment of recognition, like, I know this song.
And that's
you know?
all the problems in the world just go away for that moment. So it's great to see.
Awesome story there. Still ahead off the job, but still showing a lot of fight.
As a staff and as a leadership team, taken steps to eliminate those behaviors.
That was the recently fired Ohio State band director, and he is opening up about what he thinks was an unfair decision.
Also a farmer using his musical talents. Okay, he's no Taylor Swift or anything, but he can sing till the cows come home, literally. Popular children's toy getting a bit of girl power. So here's the story. Earlier this year, a 7-year-old girl wrote a letter to Lego saying that none of the girl people had jobs, that all they did was sit home or go to the beach or shop, and she wanted them to go on some adventures. So her wait is over. A California scientist helped to create the so-called Research Institute set. It was released on Friday, and there you see it. It shows female scientists hard at work. They include a chemist, an astrologer, and a paleontologist. And the toys are already sold out.
I bet.
So they're really popular.
Are your kids into Legos yet? Or
oh, my goodness. My daughter is not yet. My son is a Lego ninja.
So do you, Ninjago, right?
Yeah.
So do you have trouble keeping track of all the pieces like I do? They're everywhere.
I do, but I love this story, you know? And
yeah,
Chris,
it is sweet.
Chris, we have two Chris's here. Chris here and
He's
Chris
the one with
there.
the daughter, though.
You have a daughter, so this must make you happy, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I look forward to getting advice from you guys, too. As soon as she's old enough to start playing with toys, although 4 months old, she's starting to grab at a few things. Forecast coming up next.
We are, of course, following this breaking news story now. A teen charged in this multi-car accident happened in Saugus. We'll have all the details straight ahead.
Also, staying on top of the latest developments in Tewksbury as well, where crowds are growing ahead of the Market Basket Rally set for less than 2 hours from now. We have another live report when we come right back.